listening to The Breakfast Show on Faith FM with Skafy, Lindsay, and producer Shells. It is now the time for a new quiz question. This is the third hour of our show, and we are studying the book of Colossians together. Aren't we, Lindsay?
We are.
So, producer Shells, please, can you give us a new quiz question?
All right, our fourth. Fourth.
Yeah. Pretty sure it's fourth.
1, 2, 3. Yes.
Yeah.
I can't add up very well.
It's
Okay. As evidence of taking a vow, what did Paul do in Centre?
In where?
It's Cenchrea. Centre?
Centria.
Centria.
Centria. I don't know how to say that.
All right, ask the question one more
Sancria, I
time,
think it is.
please.
All right.
Pretty please.
So, as evidence of taking a vow, so he has taken a vow and he did something basically to confirm this vow. What was it that Paul did in Centre?
Sancria. Here we go. That's what he did.
Yeah.
The two things, or did I get
Oh,
the two
the
things
first
right, or
one.
just the first one?
Sorry,
Okay.
I didn't
Yeah.
see those two. Yeah.
Okay.
All
Lindsay,
right.
you
So
are...
technically, you had a bit of a stab of two things there, Skafy.
Lindsay's pulling her
You're not
hair
sure.
out here. She
I'm
doesn't
just gonna
know.
roll
You're making
this.
his day right now.
Look, this is definitely not the correct
This is what I
answer,
wake
but
up
this
for.
is the only thing coming to mind. I know it's not the right thing, but I just wanted to...
I'm so sorry.
Let me see.
So funny.
Like, producer Shells is like having a
Come
heart
on,
attack
Lindsay.
here.
You've got to have a better...
Lindsay wrote. Lindsay wrote.
I'm just going to let everyone know that she wrote, took a nap.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He made his vow to God and he said, you know what? Now I'm just going to take a nap.
Yeah, I'm going to take a nap.
This is
now.
like-
You can see what's on my mind right
We're
now.
talking about the Apostle Paul. We're not talking about Garfield the cat. These are two different books, Lindsay. And Garfield is not a Bible prophet.
Oh, yes.
Next question, she's gonna be writing. He ate a lasagna. All right. Well, if you do know the answer to that one, what did the Apostle Paul do to confirm his vow to God? 0491 064 669 is the number to text. One more time, 0491 064 669. And he didn't take a nap. He didn't eat a lasagna. He didn't chase a dog named Odie. He didn't do any of these things because we're talking about the Apostle Paul, not Garfield the cat in this studio today. So let's open up the Bible. Actually, let's look at our messages center here. See if anything came through here. I'm seeing some correct answers.
That's correct. Okay, good to know.
I am seeing people writing us here with hashtag answers. Why are they writing hashtag answers, Lindsay? What are we giving away today?
Is that a book for Incredible Answers to Prayer?
Yes.
By Roger Morneau.
By Roger Morneau. If you look, answers to prayers are something amazing because what I love about hearing these testimonies, Lindsay, I like to kind of imagine myself in that situation and imagine myself like praying to God these prayers and living vicariously through their experiences. And these kinds of things, they teach us like what is actually possible with God. And look, I can tell you, all things are possible with God, right?
Yeah.
But then when I learn about an example of what is actually possible, have you read a book called The Heavenly Man by Brother Yun?
I think I had that on my shelf when I was growing up, but I actually never read it.
I read it. It was an interesting story. This is an incredible book that I recommend. It's a Chinese missionary in China. And he's a follower of God. I think it's in the 80s. Mm-hmm. China was very much even more close to the gospel back then than it is now.
Okay.
And the communist regime was even more repressive back then.
Wow.
But he once got access to a Bible. He memorized the entire Gospel of Matthew.
Wow.
And wherever he went, he just like shared the Gospel of Matthew. And people were just like, believing and repenting and going through. And because of his faith, he ended up going to jail multiple times. There's one time, and then he just refused to let go of his faith.
Was he the guy who fasted for 80 days?
Yeah, I think he was like without water and food for like 80 days or so.
Yeah.
There's one of his experiences in jail, to me, one of the most impressive ones, is that he's being tortured. And he basically gets all of his bones in his legs completely broken, shattered in like 1,000 pieces. Smashed up. He had to drag himself back to his cell, kind of a thing.
Wow.
And God said, Yoon, I'm going to take you out of this place. And he said, okay, Lord, like, how am I going to do this? Because I don't have.
I can't exactly run away out of here.
And he said, God basically said to him, look, just walk out. So he walked out.
On his shattered legs.
Shattered legs. Like as he was walking, he felt his bones getting knit back together.
Wow.
His cell door was unlocked. He was as if he was invisible to the security guards. They didn't see him passing through him. And by the time that he gets to the courtyard of the prison, he also needed to overcome this 8 to 10 meter tall prison high security wall.
Yeah.
And he just kept going and said, okay, I'm going to do what I can. He jumped. The Holy Spirit brought him out and he jumped across that 10 meter tall bridge. And he escapes.
That's so crazy.
So when God can do something like that,
like he got springs for legs. Not only did his legs get back together, but he gave him springs in there too.
That's right.
Wow.
So God can do things. And if God can do things, he can do things with you as well. He can do things with a random Chinese missionary man. He can do this with you as well. So that's why I love to listen to these testimonies.
Yeah.
Say, you know what?
So
God,
epic.
you have done more. If you have had more difficult cases in the past.
Yeah.
And you've done something about it. So, you know when you go to like a medical practitioner, maybe like it's a dentist and so on, and you're just wondering, man, has this person done this before? And if they say, Lindsay, chill out, I have done this exact same thing like hundreds of times before.
Yeah. Makes you feel a bit more confident.
It feels you more confident. Okay, they know what they're doing. I have been to dentists that I was wondering, like, man, do they know what they're doing? Like, am I just getting the intern here and he's just like getting some practice hours with me?
Yeah, no, they're not fun.
It's not fun.
I've had my hair destroyed.
Have you had
to a hairdresser who was too new, and like she bleached my hair, and the supervisor came along and said, "You should take these foils out soon." She's like, "No, it's fine." And then later, my hair was rubber, and I had to chop it off. So you don't want that.
Look, the good thing is with God, whatever circumstance we go through, as God, what do we do? God's like, okay, chill out. I have been to that I have helped people in that same circumstance. Let me see, 1,002,300 times before. So take it easy. I know what's doing. You'll be right. Trust in me.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Let's see what else we have here. We have David sending a message here and say, hey, there is a DC comic character. She's a Martian lady with one of her abilities is to link telepathically with people in conversations. I want that ability so I could have a 4-way conversation with the three of you.
Oh, man.
David, look, I will pass today the offer for being able to access my brains and my heads. I think would be very weird. That being said, you can have this is the magic of radio. It's kind of like you're having a 4-way conversation. Yeah. You can text us here, and it's almost like the same thing. So that would be I do not know if I would want that superpower. I'll just leave it with Jesus. The one of reading other people's minds.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we have here. We've got a message. Another message here from David. It says, hey, one time Pastor Doug Batchelor was invited somewhere to preach, and they gave him a name badge written Reverend Doug Batchelor. He also didn't like the term Reverend, so he took the name out, turned it over, and just wrote Doug Batchelor. We were talking about it like some titles like Vicarious Filii Dei, like the substitute of the Son of God, or the victory of the Son of God. It's like how these titles are, when you come to think about it, they are weird. Let's just put it. Like I don't think that they are respectful of who God is. I don't think that anybody can replace. Imagine if someone is in a stepmom situation and family, and you say, kids, from now on, this is your substitute mother.
Oh, some people say bonus mom, and I don't really think that's right.
Look, this is why we have a word, a stepmom, because she's stepping up in the place of the mom, but she's not the mom.
No,
you cannot have the kids know. Let's say that the fishy dies. And then say, okay, kids, now we have a substitute fish. This is a substitute.
No.
We don't say this. How do you say that you're the substitute of the Son of God? Who can ever substitute the Son of God? Come on now. We have to get rid of these titles. Surely they're not biblically accurate.
No.
And Reverend, I have, look.
Got a bone to pick
Convince me that Reverend is a great title for religious people to have, or even church leaders. Like, do you want to be revered? Do you think that you're worthy of reverence? I don't think so. I think I'm a sinner, and the only person that is actually worthy of being revered to is God. So I don't want you to be calling me a reverend.
Look, people who work in the church,
With all due respect.
in any particular type of church, we're called to be people who represent God in a way, but the true character of God is humble and loving and gentle and kind. He doesn't puff himself up in order to get us to worship him, right? And people who work for God in a church setting should also exemplify that by being humble and expecting to be referred to in a way that is going to encourage humility. And I'm not saying for church members to refer to their church leaders in ways that put them up on a pedestal. It's important to have a degree of respect, but also at the same time, it's important to remember that they're sinful human beings just as much as the average person, and to not raise them up. And for us as people who work in the church to remember that and to keep ourselves humble as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, you know what? I think that the greatest title that I could receive, I'll have the highest title of all. And if anybody ever says that of me, I'll be like in the clouds. If someone says Servant Joseph, Servant Joe, this is servant. I just want to be a servant.
Yeah, exactly.
And actually by being a servant, I think this is the highest calling I can pursue for my life. We got a message here from Elle. And Elle said, "Hi, can you please pray for a horse? It's being kept under bad conditions near me, please. I've been emailing our SPCA since January, getting nowhere, as, the person is so deceptive. And, I'm praying so hard. Elle, let's pray for you and particularly for that situation. I pray that God will really help this horse to be taken care of. Particularly if it's not being taken good care of in that situation. Look, you're doing your part. You're letting our SPCA know. Let us know, where are you riding from? I do know a animal sanctuary that they do adopt horses that are being mistreated in other places. And I saw that this horse that they have there, and it was very emaciated. And now it's an absolutely beautiful of a horse. It's just give a shout out to the people in the Where Pigs Fly Animal Sanctuary. It's a funny name.
That's
it's a
funny.
Beautiful name. It has a little piggy with in the air, kind of a martial vibe. And they do just some incredible work. I think they have over 200 animals there. All of them rescued. There's one of their animals is a lamb. Her name is Vera. Not a lamb, she's a sheep. And her name is Vera. Vera, do you know where Vera was found?
Vera the sheep?
Yeah.
I don't know.
In a train station in
what?
Sydney. Someone just dropped her off in the train station.
Wow.
They didn't want her anymore. And
You know,
Vera is the cute. I almost was asking, can I please adopt Vera?
Aww.
She's a sheep that loves humans more than she loves any other
I
sheep.
love sheep. They're
She
so
just
cute.
follows you wherever you go. She's the cutest thing ever. You can give her any food and she'll be so grateful. She does like to eat.
Vera was a little sheep.
Vera was the best. I'm a huge fan of Vera. She captivated my heart. So
Aw.
Elle, let us know here, but we're praying here that God will help that horsey to get out of that situation, if that's the case. I think this is it from our text line. Anything else, Producer Shells, that I've been missing perhaps? No, this is it. Okay. So let's open up our Bible then, Lindsay. Let's get into our Colossians Bible study, shall we?
All right. Where did we leave off yesterday? We were talking about being earnest in prayer and vigilant in thanksgiving.
Yes, we're talking about conducting yourselves with wisdom toward outsiders, making the most of every opportunity. Paul is in prison, and he's not asking, hey, guys, can you please pray that God will let me out of this place? Instead, he's asking, God, can you please pray that God will give me opportunities that in this prison I can actually reach people that wouldn't otherwise be reached.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, so let's pick up in Colossians chapter 4, verse 6 now.
All right.
Which says, let your speech always be with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer each one.
Okay, let's talk about this one. This is an important Bible verse.
I believe it's in James that refers to the tongue as being an untamable evil. It's so hard to be, I guess, disciplined with the words that come out of your mouth, the type of attitude that comes out of your mouth, right?
It is a challenge, an ongoing.
For me in particular, like I am very sassy and sometimes I lean right into it, and some of my friends like joke about it. Oh, Lindsay's already like sassing really hard. Like it's something that I have to be so careful about, because sometimes it's just funny and sometimes it can just cross that line into being, you know, the next level.
Annoying.
Well, and not even annoying, but like actually offensive. And you don't mean to be, because like some people are like, oh, it's just Lindsay being funny. And then the next minute somebody's offended and crying in the corner. Like, I didn't mean that, but like maybe I did, but maybe I'm just like not being that guarded around my mouth and thinking that, oh, it's not hurting most of the time. But then in those moments, it does hurt someone.
Yeah. That's good. It looks. This is a lesson that I have also been learning as well, the hard way. And before, sometimes I just want to say something, but I do come across as insensitive.
Oh, same. So insensitive, so much.
And definitely not meaning. So now I'm asking, like, when I'm thinking about things, I'm saying, okay, what are the worst possible interpretations that people could take of if I say this? And if I say, hey, there can be some pretty catastrophic interpretations here, so you know what? I'm not going to say it.
Yeah. Good.
And then if I really, really need to say it, sometimes I will talk to God for like hours. Say, God, please give me like the right angle to say these words. And I think this is part of that process. We're going to be looking and exploring that verse a little bit more. There's a lot of practical things and maybe practical tips on how to have how to have a speech that is filled with grace and seasoned with salt. But before we do that, I just want to remind everyone here that we are giving away an incredible book today. It's called Answers to Prayers by Roger Murnau. It's a book of testimonies of some of his answers to prayers. I read that book about 15 years ago, roundabout, maybe 14, something like that. These stories I still carry with me in my heart. They are amazing stories. Some of them are about things that I learned that I do. I pray the exact same prayers.
Yeah.
That he was praying many times. So if you'd like to get that book, text us here, #answers to 0491064669. We will provide and send you a copy. Answers to Prayers by Roger Murnau.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
Now, like this time, it's quiz time. Please, can we have our quiz answer and our final quiz question for today, please?
Tell me what time it is.
It's quiz time.
You nearly had it with me, though.
Nearly. I didn't know what you were doing.
You did well to try.
All right. Okay, ladies, let's get
Are you
this back
feeling
on
left
track.
out over there, Skafy? Because you didn't try and join in.
You're having like, these
We're having good bands and
girl
you're like
power
left
moments
over
there.
in the corner by yourself.
But I'll tell you what it is. I'll give you the answer to the quiz question. Lindsay, he shaved off his head.
He didn't take a
Didn't
nap.
have a nap.
Oh,
Have a nap.
didn't eat
It's like a
lasagna.
vow, like, vow of Nazarite. You can do like a temporary vow of
Should've.
consecration to God, and at the end of that vow, you just like, you shave your hair. Not only they had all of your facial hair, your beard,
They
your
weren't
hair.
allowed to have any wine or grape products
during that period
if
of
it was a
time.
Nazarite vow, particularly. Yep.
And you're not allowed to touch anything unclean
Yep.
and or dead person or anything like that. And you do this for a while, let your hair grow, and after the hair is grown, you shave it off and you offer that as an offering.
What a crazy vow. I don't know. Is there deeper meaning behind the hair?
Look, the hair is like from the moment that you've done the vow to the moment that you stop doing the hair. Like the hair is symbolizing the amount of time
Yeah.
that you're dedicating to God. It's basically you're saying, "Hey, God, here you go. This is my hair, symbolizing the amount of time that I went into that special consecration journey with you." I personally think that we should be living Nazarite lives, meaning like we should live a consecrated life to God 24/7. But back in the days, this is one of the ways that they can say, hey, you can actually do something. It's kind of like taking a year off to dedicate it to God as a missionary somewhere in the world. How some young people do that.
Yep. I've done that.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
There's some other interesting parts of the Bible that talk about shaving someone's hair off for a certain period of time, but we won't get into that one right now. But it's worth doing a little Bible study on that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's do our final question. So this question is actually, the answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 words.
Oh, wow.
It's a little bit of a
Goodness.
sentence.
Okay.
Okay. According to Deuteronomy, I can't even say the word.
Deuteronomy?
Yeah, that one.
That's the
I
one.
like the new name, Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy.
Yeah, something or other.
So-
Deuteronomy, not otomy. I can't
Lobotomy?
do it. Deuteronomy.
Are you having a lobotomy?
All right, guys. Okay.
See, too much sass.
According to Deuteronomy 3, how was a span, S-P-A-N, how was a span measured?
Oh, goodness.
So we've got one final really hard question.
Oh, man. A span?
A span was measured. How? How did they measure a span back in those days?
It's a unit of measurement.
But they used something, and how did they do
Give
it?
us some tips without giving away the answer, because that one's real hard for me.
Well, if you didn't have a rule or if you didn't have anything else, what would you do to measure something?
Am I on the right track there?
I can only see took a nap. What's that word say?
Oh, hold on. Let me do it in
English?
block writing.
All right. And if you
Okay,
guys know...
I have a
already
guess.
know.
I have a guess.
All right, what's your guess?
That was my initial guess. So let's see.
No, but you're on the kind of right track to use, obviously, a body part.
Oh.
We're giving a hint to everyone
Okay,
here.
it's a body part, but what body part
Span.
specifically?
Yes,
it's a
it's
span.
quite specific. to
Oh,
be
I think I
honest.
know. I think I know. Wait a
And you
minute.
guys at home, look, these guys are trying hard. 0491 064. Yes, but it's really specific with what you do with that part of the body.
Is it, oh, goodness.
I didn't even get through my text line. 0491 064 669. Can you guys beat them?
Okay,
Because they're struggling.
That's my last.
I'm on the bottom one, yeah?
Yeah, like it's kind of like this two.
You're
here.
really close, but...
I'm really close, but not quite there.
Yeah, you're not quite got the...
Okay. Well, I don't know then.
But you're very, very close.
Okay,
Janelle's jumped in with you guys. She said forearm length between elbow. It's what you said, wasn't it?
Yes,
It's not
this is,
right,
This
but
is
you're
the. I
doing
think this
body
is the yard.
Was that a bigger one? Yeah, maybe.
Historically, because you know how the U.S. they have these imperial metrics.
Yeah.
One time I met a guy. I think he was in the U.S. and I was asking. He was asking me a question, or I was asking him a question in terms of kilometers and so on. And he says, "Oh, I don't know. I only know freedom units."
Freedom units.
He called the imperial metrics freedom units. I said, "Okay, that's funny." Lindsay's giving away an
hang on.
answer.
I drew a picture
No,
instead.
It's really close if you put your line up a little bit.
Okay, yeah. All right. It's there. Okay.
I'm still not going to give
Okay.
it to you.
Well,
I
Lindsay,
want you to show
just acknowledge that you don't know.
from
is that
something
correct?
until something. You're
Okay.
almost there.
I'll move on here because
no, we'll keep
nobody
going for
knew.
forever.
Oh, Stuart said the same thing that I said in the first one. So, man, like Janelle and
Oh,
Stuart,
guys, you're close. but no.
everybody's saying measure from your fingertips to the elbow.
So that must be what you said, a yard.
Yeah, and saying all this is a span. I think this is a cubit.
So you're close, but you got one of the fingers wrong. So one's right and one's wrong. So
Okay.
now, I'm basically giving it away, guys.
All right. Well, let's see. I will wait for the official answer to that one. Let's get back into our Bible study here, Lindsay, because I don't think you are going to know either. Okay.
I finally got it right.
Okay, after writing down all the names of all the body
I drew
parts that she
pictures
knew.
and
After every
everything.
combination you
pictures.
could possibly get.
Okay, all right. Well done to you, Lindsay.
Also, the first sketch I did was correct then.
There is drawings and there is everything.
Your first sketch was the
Okay.
base of a hand with a line across it.
No, it was the correct amount of fingers involved. Anyway, we
Ah,
misinterpret.
Lindsay. Okay, well, your drawing needs to improve.
Wow.
I cannot wait to know the right answer to that question. But after we learn how to speak with grace, how about that? How to speak with grace. So, Lindsay, can you please read verse 6 for us again?
Oh, okay. We're back in Colossians.
Yes.
I'm still mentally fighting with Shell over here.
Okay.
All right. Colossians chapter 4 verse 6 for the second time this morning. Let your speech always be with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how you ought to answer each one.
Okay. How do you do that, Lindsay?
You,
Give me tips. 3 tips here on how to speak with grace as those seasoned with salt so that you will know how you should respond to each person. Let's make it very
You put
practical.
a piece of salt under your tongue and then you start speaking. No, I'm joking. Oh, no. I mean, okay, so what does the salt what is that meant to represent? I think is it Jesus' teaching where he talks about you're the salt of the earth? Does that have any part to play in this, or is it a different type of analogy?
I think something you can make a decent
Okay.
connection. Look, the salt part, I think it's just kind of straightforward in this one.
Okay.
Like with salt is this.
Like
something
good flavor.
Okay. Food with no salt equals bad.
Bland.
Food too much salt equals bad.
Yeah.
So you need to know how much salt you need.
Have good balance.
Have to get not too much, not too little. So I have to be temperate.
Okay, all
And
right.
this is the same thing with speech. Paul say, hey, look, measure your words because sometimes our words, it can be either too much
Don't dump it all in like a salt
or
packet.
too little. Measure.
Yeah.
Think of it. So I think that tip number one, I would say it's pray.
Okay.
Pray whenever you're talking to someone, particularly if you're going to be having a difficult conversation. I have had one recently. I would have to have like a very difficult conversation with a person. And I really said, look, God, I really need your help because I don't want that person to feel judged. I don't want that person to be on the defensive. At the same time, I want to call them out by something that they have done that it's wrong. But I also want them to glorify you. I want so help me out with that. And God took me on a prayer journey there. And part of the process of the prayer journey is me removing some of the angst and the anger that I had towards that situation from my heart and say, you know what? I think that this person is really, they made a genuine mistake. And I'm going to treat it as just a genuine mistake. They're not seeing anything wrong here. And I really had to convince myself of that being a possibility and treating them according to that. And I was rehearsing, saying, how do I say? Because if I don't say anything, I'm not going to be able to be in peace. If I'm too harsh, I'm going to backfire.
Yeah.
And the thing that I'm trying to do, which is to reconcile, to mend relationships and friendships and all these kinds of things, it's going to backfire. I said, God, please help me with that. So the first thing you say that it's pray. And when you're praying, you can role play with God. And you can role play with God. Say, okay, God, if I say this, how can the person interpret? If I say that, how can so this is the first thing I would say. Pray, ask God to really give you wisdom into how to get like the best possible words. And part of the process, sure, you can use tools that are available to you. I would say pray first because then God can guide that process. But you can ask someone that you know, hey, look, I need to have a conversation with people. Particularly if you're a young person, this is a kind of thing that comes with maturity. Like I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and then she had a friend that was saying things that was a little bit dramatic.
Okay.
And so
Bit
dramatic.
inflammatory.
A bit kind of calling attention. Kind of saying, hey. So these two people, they were these two ladies, they were not talking to each other for a long time, and they were not harsh feelings, but one of the ladies kind of resented, probably not, kind of losing a friend and so on.
Yeah.
And she wanted that attention, which the other person did not necessarily want to give. And they say, oh, you know what? So they receive a message saying, hey, can we please have a chat before it's too late? Or before I'm not around anymore. What could that imply? The person called me and said, hey, what does that imply? I don't want to talk to that person. But at the same time, like, is this person thinking
Dying?
about taking their life?
Right.
And I said, okay, well, this is one way that you can approach this. You can throw in another question, which is like I like to call it maybe a probatory question, where a probe. A probe. Do you know what a probe is? A probe is like a really long piece of like rigid wire that you poke on things.
Yeah.
For example, if you're in the snow, usually for snow rescue teams, you have to carry one of these in your backpack. Because if there's an avalanche and you want to know where someone is, if you have a probe, you're basically poking that probe down the snow until you can feel something that feels like human flesh, human muscles, like the person is there. And then you can find the person, you can dig them out of there and save them.
Right.
Right? Or you can see, okay, no, this is a rock here. You know where you are perhaps in the terrain.
Okay.
So you can do that with questions. I say, look, you can ask a question, just a clarifying question first. And you can say, what do you mean by not being around? Meaning that you're going to travel somewhere, you're going to live in another town? See what the person says. And in that case, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. And then the person say, yeah, I'm planning to perhaps move around to another town and that moved the situation to a completely different level. At the same time, if she said, look, I know that you're not contemplating taking your life, so why are you forcing me to do this conversation with you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we don't want, because we don't know this, and we don't want to push her if she's already on, that person is on the brink of, having, a real serious mental health crisis. You don't want to push them harder in that. You cannot this is one of the things that I had to learn. It's hard. You don't confront people at any and all times. Even if you feel like this person needs confrontation, sometimes they're not in the space, in the moment of their life. This is just going to add more. They cannot cope with it.
Yeah.
They're ready when there's so much stress and pressure. So you have to really know if for you to challenge someone, they have to be in a certain headspace.
Yeah.
For that challenge to be productive.
Yeah.
So coming back here, first thing is praying. Second thing is asking if the person interprets what I'm saying badly, how can this be badly interpreted? Mm-hmm. And sometimes you can even use that to preempt. So tip number 1, it's praying. Tip number 2, you can ask probing questions. Ask some more questions. Get some clarification if you need to. Number 3 is, in that probing is you can preempt what the person will say. For example, here, my wife had a good one, actually. So I'm going to use that as a good example. So she was talking to a friend of hers.
Okay.
A friend from her childhood, and they were talking, and she wants to talk about Jesus with that person.
Yeah.
And she knows that this person, at least back in the days, he was very skeptical about the Word of God.
Yeah.
But she felt that she had a message from God to share. And she says, look, you may call me crazy, you may call that this is, that you don't believe this is fairy tale, but I have to say, I do believe in God, and this is what the Bible says. Boom, 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 boom. Now, it turns out that when he replied back, says, you know what, I'm not that skeptical anymore, and I agree with that, and so on and so forth. But she was already preempting, because she was thinking, maybe he will roll his eyes as he did before, oh God, and so on and so forth. So sometimes when you can anticipate what the person's objection is to what you're going to say, you can preempt that and saying, for example, if I want to say something potentially offensive to you, Lindsay, I say, Lindsay, you might think that I'm going to be offending you, but that's definitely not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to really offer you a feedback about something you want to give. And that's one way. And actually, when you tell a person, you say, hey, Lindsay, please don't be offended with me. You're kind of saying, or if you say, hey, Lindsay, would you be offended if I tell you something from my heart? Just by saying that, you're already preparing. I am helping you to prepare yourself. So you know what? No, I'm not going to be offended. You can tell me anything. So even if I say something that is a little bit hard, you can say, well, now I promised Skafy that I wouldn't be offended.
Yeah.
I have to go through with it. So sometimes finding the objections that people have and presenting the truth in the most sympathetic way, that's the way to go. So this is 3 tips right there for you. Number 1, pray. Ask God, rehearse with God, talk to God. Number 2, ask probing questions. And these probing questions, once you master these things, they are really, really useful. For example, Lindsay, let's say that you mentioned that you have a brother, right?
Yeah.
But let's say that I forgot about that information. But I want to get it back. I can ask you, instead of asking you again, hey, Lindsay, do you have a brother? Are you a single child? You know what I can ask? I can ask that, or I can ask, hey, Lindsay, you told me that you have 2 siblings, right? What are you going to respond back?
Actually, I have 3.
There you go. So you gave me the right information. I was tentatively asking you a question, and I can do this with anything really. And that prompted you to. You didn't know that I forgot how many siblings you have. You're just correcting that information that I had.
Yeah.
And we kind of do this naturally and automatically. It's kind of a bit of a hack, but it's a good communication habit as well. You can ask a question even spiritually. I can ask, for example, you can say to someone, so I'm imagining that that you grew up in a Catholic home, right? And you can say, no, actually my parents were not Christian at all.
Right.
Or I say, oh, really? So when you're asking these questions tentatively, these are like small ways where you can have a conversation with someone. You can ask them something, but in a way that it's not threatening, so that you can actually have a productive conversation.
Yeah.
So that it can be seasoned with salt, so that you're not being overly aggressive, you're not being too passive. And if you're asking these probing questions, if you are anticipating objections, these are some ways. But look, you know what? This is an art. These are some tips. I hope that they serve you. But to learn communication, how to communicate effectively, this is a lifelong skill. And one thing, if there's one more tip that I can give is invest in that. Invest in that. Like follow people there's actually a guy that is actually a really good Instagram influencer. His name is Jeffrey Fisher. Text me here and I'll send you his link. He's a lawyer. He teaches some really solid communication skills, how to deal with difficult communications, for example. And I think he has some really spot on lessons there. That's one way to go. So learn more about communication. It's always pays off.
You're listening to the Breakfast Show podcast on Faith FM. Positively different.
We have a giveaway, don't we, Skafy?
We do have a giveaway, as we do. We have Answers to Prayer by Roger Murno. We actually have a lot of people asking that resource
This is
already.
such an excellent resource. There's
So
also
I'm very glad.
Yeah, there's like a video. I don't think I've read the book. I think my family had the book or a couple of his books on our shelf when I was a kid growing up, but I'd watched the video interview from probably back in the 90s. It's probably floating somewhere on YouTube.
I read it. It's so good. Look, one of the stories that I really like is that one of the things that Roger Murno figured out, and I think it's a real thing, is that sometimes, like, he was in a situation that was very tense. I think it was in his office, but also in his home. And he basically prays to God and says, God, if there's anything spiritual in this situation, I pray that you can send your angels here to help to recreate the harmony of heaven in this situation.
Yeah.
And in many times, that situation was diffused. And whatever, if there's like some tension in the air, that was diffused. And I have seen so many stories. I have had that before. There's another story from it's a similar story from that same type of prayer that I read in Murno's book about a guy. He entered into this elevator, 20-story building, and there's this real grumpy lady in. And she's there, and she's just like grumpy, and just like she was clearly very altered. And then, he prays, said, God, look, he prayed in his, under his breath, like in the spirit, in his mind, and saying, Lord, if there's anything spiritual in this lady that's oppressing her situation, I pray that you please remove it from her. And by the time that they reached the bottom, she was a completely different person, saying, oh, what a wonderful day. What a great day to be alive. Thank you very much. Have a great day, everyone. And that's like, wait a minute. There's a thing. There's a thing.
It changed within seconds.
So whenever you're talking to someone and you're feeling that there's something out there, just pray in your head, say, God, if there's something spiritual here, can you please help out? And it's not always, but in many cases, that's one of the things. And this is one of the cool testimonies, answers to prayers that Roger Murno shares in his book. He had this like decades-long prayer ministry where he would be praying and he would be noting down all the prayers. And I wish I could have done this because I have so many answers to prayers, and sometimes I forgot them. It's like, I should just be keeping them in a record because I can tell you maybe 20 or 30 answers to prayers. I could have, if I was doing like Roger Murno, probably could have like 400. So that's why I love his book. It's like so thorough.
So good.
Yeah. How do we get that book, Lindsay? How do we send it to people?
So people can text us in on 0491 064 669 with hashtag answers, and we will get that book to you. Now, I want to just briefly share as well that in the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about the story of Gabriel Esteval. We've been talking now about Roger Murno, and we also spoke about, was it David Ng last week as well, or earlier this week? Did we talk about that, or did I just
the skull mask?
No, that was something else. We've been talking a lot about
spiritual warfare
the last couple of weeks, and it's honestly been great. And I went and checked out a few of these different interviews. I was like, I need a refresher. Some people have referred to these things to me before. I want to check this stuff out and have it really clear in my mind. And as I have done so, I've like had it at the forefront of my mind. So when I'm hanging out with my friends or my classmates or talking to people who I've had previous conversations about spiritual things with and they've been a little bit uncertain and like not just taking my word for it, I've been able to send the resources to them and say, hey, this is a video that I was referring to, or this is one that you might want to watch after our previous conversation. And in just the last couple of days, just over the weekend, I've had some of my friends text me back and say, hey, this is excellent. This has really helped me to understand better. This has helped me with my parenting of my child, or, being able to understand what's spiritually going on when there's a tantrum taking place maybe, or the thoughts in my head that are not necessarily my own thoughts of negativity, but maybe they're being implanted by demons whispering in my ear. I'm able to call that out. And so it's been really, I've been blessed, and the people around me in my circle of influence have also been blessed to see things spiritually. I have a friend who is a counselor. She's a Christian counselor, and she told me, hey, I did a survey with one of my clients today on OCD and looked at one of the requirements for that, and it said that one of the things that people often experience is feeling like they're demon possessed. And she's like, wow, it's so clear that there is demonic activity going on with even some of these mental health issues that so many people experience as collectively. So, hey, I just want to let everyone know that there are spiritual things going on. It's really helpful to be aware of what's going on and the authority that you have in Jesus to deal with it.
And look, there is an overlap between mental health and spiritual health, for sure, absolutely sure. Not every mental health has a spiritual foundation. Not every spiritual foundation has right. So there's all of that. Not because your toddler is throwing a tantrum does not mean that he is possessed or anything.
That's not what I meant.
Even though some parents might be tempted to ask, man, is that happening with my child? Is that a bad spirit? Sometimes it can be, but look, in whatever it's the case, this is what I think it's like a bit of an umbrella prayer. You can ask God, if there is something spiritual about the situation, can you please help to diffuse it? Can you please help act upon it? So, well, I'm glad to hear that these resources have been helpful. To your friends, Lindsay. Chels, can we
the quiz answer?
Yes, get an answer, please. Because what is a span?
We're all
nearly out
wondering.
of time. With an outstretched hand from the tip of the thumb to the tip of the pinky.
Oh, there you go. Man, I have a very big span, I think.
Yeah.
Because my hands are big. Let me see whose span. My span is like at least half a finger longer than yours.
An inch and a half longer than mine.
Yeah, there you go.
This is it, guys.
So I didn't know. There you go. This is a span. I was thinking about like wingspan. So I think about like opening up your arms and going from one.
Or the board game with the
top of
birds.
your. Yeah, but I'm thinking about my
your arms.
My arm span. Yeah, so that was not it. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in today. Tomorrow we'll be back with more. Talk faith, live faith, and act faith.
God be with you till we meet again. God be with you till we meet again.
Thanks for being a part of the Faith FM family. Join our community on Facebook or get in touch at 1-800-FAITH-FM.